I still have it saved on my phone. 3 years later, I haven't deleted it. I've listened to it maybe 40 times, maybe more. And every single time, I hear something different. Some new layer I missed before. Some shift in her voice I can't quite explain. My sister left me a voicemail the night she disappeared. 47 seconds long. Let me back up. Renee was 26 when she went missing, 2 years younger than me. She was the kind of person who remembered everyone's birthday without a calendar, who kept a running list in her notes app of her friends' favorite snacks so she'd know what to bring when they were having a bad week. She wasn't troubled. That's the thing people always assume first, that a missing woman must have been running from something. Debt, a bad relationship, a dark secret. Renee had a lease on a one-bedroom apartment in Raleigh, a job she liked at a nonprofit that did housing advocacy, a church community she was actually committed to, not just showing up for. She helped organize their Thursday food pantry. She had a running shoe subscription that renewed every 6 months. She had plans. She had plans with me. We were supposed to drive down to Wilmington the weekend she disappeared, a birthday trip for our dad. She'd made the restaurant reservation herself, this seafood place he'd always wanted to try but never went to because our mom used to say it was too expensive. Mom passed 2 years before all this, so it was just the three of us now. Dad, Renee, me. She never showed up to the restaurant. I drove to Raleigh that same night, 4 hours. Dad stayed home because he thought maybe she'd just gotten the dates mixed up. Maybe she was fine. Maybe we were overreacting. But I knew we weren't. I'd called her 11 times, texted, messaged her on every platform she was on. Nothing. And Renee always had her phone. Always. She was the kind of person who texted back within 3 minutes, who would send you a voice memo if she was driving rather than leave you on red. Silence from Renee wasn't just unusual, it was its own alarm system. I got to her apartment around midnight, used the spare key she'd given me years ago, the one I kept on my keyring so long I'd stopped noticing it. Her apartment was... Okay, this is the part I've tried to describe to probably 20 different people. The detective, the counselor I saw for 8 months, my dad, twice, and I always get stuck on the same word. Arranged. That's the only word that fits. Her apartment looked arranged. Not ransacked, not abandoned, not like someone left in a hurry. Everything was orderly. Dishes drying in the rack by the sink, couch cushions straight, her Bible on the coffee table, closed, with a receipt tucked inside as a bookmark like she'd been reading it that morning. But her keys were on the counter. Both sets, the one she used every day and the backup. No car in her spot downstairs. No Renee. The voicemail came in at 11:14 p.m. I didn't see it until I was already in her apartment. My phone had been on silent most of the drive because I was using the GPS out loud through my car speakers, and the notifications were everywhere. When I finally saw the missed call, I felt something I don't know how to name. Not relief, more like the floor shifting. I stepped out onto her tiny balcony and pressed play. Hey, it's me. I'm sorry about today. I know you and Dad were waiting. I'm okay. I just need you to hear that first. I'm okay. I needed to go somewhere and I didn't tell anyone, and I know that was wrong. I know. But I need you to not look for me right now, okay? I'm asking you. I need some time. I'll explain everything when I come back. I promise. I love you. Tell Dad I love him. Tell him I'm sorry about his birthday. I'll make it right. Then a pause. 3 seconds. Pray for me. End of message. I played it 4 times standing on that balcony. Then I called the police. Here's where it gets complicated. The detective on the case, she was good at her job, I think. Professional. But she kept coming back to the voicemail like it was a door she could see through if she just tilted her head right. She said she needed to go somewhere, she told me, the second time we sat across from each other in that beige room. She said don't look for her. She said she'd come back. I know what she said. Sir, with adults, especially when we have recorded communication indicating the individual left voluntarily, I know the protocol, I said. I've read everything. I know what the law says. I'm telling you, something is wrong. The detective looked at me for a moment, not dismissive, searching. What makes you say that? She asked. And I couldn't answer right away, because how do you explain something like that? How do you explain that you know your sister the way you know the sound of your own heartbeat? That you can hear 47 seconds of her voice and know, underneath the calm, something is breaking. She said she was okay, twice, in the first 15 seconds. Renee only does that when she's not. I took 3 weeks off work. My boss was understanding, barely, in the way people are understanding when they feel like they're supposed to be. I set up a search page, a Facebook group, printed flyers even though everyone told me flyers don't work anymore, that it all lives online now. I didn't care. I needed to do something with my hands. Renee's friends showed up, more than I expected. People I'd never met who'd known her for years. Her coworkers, her church people, a woman named Celeste who ran the food pantry with her every Thursday and cried in a grocery store parking lot while she told me about the last time they'd worked together. She seemed normal, Celeste kept saying. She seemed completely normal. We laughed about something dumb on the internet. She said she was going to try making sourdough bread. She seemed fine. That word, fine. Everyone kept using it. She seemed fine right up until she didn't. The car turned up 12 days later, 2 counties over, at a trailhead parking lot, the kind of lot that fills up on weekends with hikers and empties out on weekday evenings. Her car had been there since the night she disappeared, according to the surveillance footage from a camera at the ranger station nearby. She parked at 9:47 p.m., got out, walked toward the trail, and that was it. That was the last image. Her, walking toward the woods, backpack on, moving steady, no hesitation. Like she'd planned it. Like she knew exactly where she was going. The trail she walked toward, it connects to a whole network of paths. Some of them loop back. Some of them go on for 30, 40 miles if you follow the right branches. There's a shelter up around mile 9, one of those 3-sided wooden lean-tos that hikers use during long trips. They found evidence she'd been at the shelter, an empty water bottle, a granola bar wrapper, a small pile of ash in the fire pit that matched the timeline. She brought supplies. She'd thought this through. But she wasn't there, and no one knew where she went after that. My dad aged a decade in those first 2 months. I watched it happen in real time and couldn't do anything about it. He'd lost our mother, and now this. He's a quiet man, my dad. Always has been. He processes things internally, folds them up tight, stores them somewhere you can't see. But I'd catch him sometimes sitting in his chair in the living room, not watching the television even though it was on, just sitting, holding his coffee mug with both hands, even when it was cold. Once I sat down next to him and he said, without looking at me, "You know what she used to do when she was little, when she was scared of something?" "What?" "She'd come find me and just stand next to me. Not say anything, not ask for anything. Just stand there until she felt better." He was quiet for a moment. I keep waiting for that. I didn't say anything. There was nothing to say. 4 months in, I started doing something I'm not fully able to explain. I started hiking. Not just any hiking. I started going to trails, specifically to trails in the network where her car was found. I'd go on weekends, sometimes weekdays if I'd accumulated enough remote hours at work. I'd bring a photo of Renee. I'd talk to people I passed on the trail, rangers, regular hikers, people who used the shelter. I wasn't a detective, I knew that. I wasn't even sure what I was looking for. I just couldn't stop. Month 5, I met a man named Gerald at the shelter on mile 9, retired. He did the whole trail system about 4 times a year, kept a log of every hike in a small green journal he carried in his front shirt pocket. I showed him Renee's photo. He looked at it for a long time. Then he said, "I've seen her." Everything in my chest stopped. "When?" I said. I kept my voice steady. I don't know how. "Not recently," he said quickly. "Last fall, maybe October. I was coming back through this way around dusk, and she was sitting up on that ridge," he pointed, "just sitting there, looking out. I thought maybe she was resting. I said hello. She said hello back. Seemed—" He stopped, used the same word everyone used. "Fine." "Did you talk to her?" "A little. She asked me how long the trail went if you kept west. I told her about 15 more miles, then it dumps you out near the county road. She thanked me. That was about it." He looked at the photo again. "She looked like she was thinking real hard about something," he said. "That's what I remember. Not scared, not sad exactly, just like someone working through something heavy." I called the detective that night from my car in the trailhead parking lot. She updated the timeline. She said this was helpful. She said they'd look into the county road to the west, see if there were any cameras, any witnesses, any records. Then she said, "I want to be honest with you. After this long, the outcomes become more complicated." I knew what she meant. I didn't let her finish the sentence. "She's alive," I said. A pause. "What makes you say that?" "The voicemail. She said she'd come back. She said she'd explain everything. Renee doesn't say things she doesn't mean." Another pause. "Okay," the detective said. And it wasn't dismissive. It was almost careful, like she wasn't willing to take the hope away from me even if she had reasons to. Here is the thing about the voicemail that I've never said out loud to anyone. At the very end, after "pray for me" and before the message cuts off, there's a sound. It's brief, less than a second, the kind of thing you'd miss if you weren't listening on headphones in a quiet room at 2 in the morning. It sounds like another voice. Not words, not clear enough for that, just a sound, the edge of someone else's voice. I've played it for a digital audio forensics guy I found online who did a proper analysis. He said the audio quality made it hard to determine definitively, but his best assessment was ambient sound, possibly a radio or television in a neighboring space, possibly wind distortion, possibly, and this was his word, incidental vocal bleed from an adjacent source. Adjacent source. Another person, nearby when she called me. I don't know what to do with that. I've sat with it for 3 years, and I still don't know what to do with it. If someone was with her, does that change what the voicemail means? Does it mean she wasn't alone in whatever she was deciding? Does it mean she was afraid and performing calm for whoever was listening? Or does it mean something else entirely? Something I don't let myself fully form into a thought. It's been 3 years now. The case is still open, technically. The detective moved to a different unit, but she checks in every few months, which I didn't expect and appreciate more than I can say. Renee's apartment is obviously gone. Her landlord held it as long as he could, longer than he legally had to, because apparently Renee had done something kind for his daughter once, connected her with a housing resource or something, and he felt he owed her. Eventually, we had to clear it out, me and my dad and Celeste. I kept the Bible, the one from the coffee table with the receipt inside. I didn't look at the receipt for a long time. When I finally did, it was from a camping supply store, 4 days before she disappeared. Thermal layers, water filtration tablets, and emergency bivouac. She planned this, whatever this is. She planned it carefully. Last spring, something happened. I was at the shelter on mile 9, still hiking, still going back, I can't stop, when I found something tucked into a crack in the back wooden beam, the kind of crack where hikers sometimes wedge things, geocaching notes, little tokens. It was a folded piece of paper. I want to be careful here about how I describe what happened when I unfolded it, because it sounds impossible, because I've told this to exactly two people and watched both of their faces do something complicated. It was a page torn from a journal, handwritten, small, careful print. At the top, it said, "For whoever needs this," and below that, a verse, Psalms 62:8. "Trust in him at all times, you people. Pour out your hearts to him, for God is our refuge." And below that, just initials, RC. Renee's initials are RC. There are other people whose initials are RC. I know that. That's what I told myself the whole walk back down the trail. That's what I told myself sitting in my car in the parking lot for 20 minutes before I could drive. But the handwriting. I've looked at Renee's handwriting 100 times, on birthday cards, on the grocery lists she'd text photos of, on one letter she wrote me when I was going through my divorce and she said she thought I needed something I could hold instead of a text. I can't prove it, not scientifically. I'm not a handwriting expert, but I know my sister's handwriting. The detective had it analyzed. Inconclusive, they said. The paper had been exposed to elements. The ink had degraded in ways that affected comparison metrics. Inconclusive, but not ruled out. Here's where I am now. I believe my sister is alive. I believe she left on purpose, for reasons I don't understand yet. I believe she knew what she was doing when she walked toward that trail in the dark. I believe she has been somewhere, living, moving, and I believe that at some point she left that page in that shelter for someone to find. Maybe for me specifically, maybe just for anyone who wandered through the right crack of the right beam. I don't know if she's okay. I don't know if she's safe or free, or if she is living under a kind of weight I haven't been able to imagine. I don't know if she'll come back. What I know is 47 seconds of her voice. What I know is, "I'm okay, I just need you to hear that first." What I know is I'll explain everything when I come back. What I know is, "Pray for me." So I do, every night, without fail, sometimes angry, sometimes desperate, sometimes barely just her name out loud, in a quiet room, just her name, like our dad used to stand next to her when she was scared, not asking for anything, just being present. My phone still has the voicemail. I still listen to it. And somewhere in that last few seconds, in that almost sound that might be a voice or might be the wind, I'm still trying to hear what it's telling me. If you've ever had someone disappear on you, not died, not left a note, not given you a reason, you know there's a specific kind of grief for that. It doesn't fit the shapes we have for grief. It doesn't have a name yet. It just lives in you, right next to the hope, right next to the part of you that still checks your phone. That part doesn't sleep. Neither do I.
Hi, it's Dawn. I just wanted to thank you for listening to the voicemail. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this story. It was a little outside of my norm, so I'd really be interested in hearing back from you. As always, please like and subscribe, and until next time, have a blessed week.